Alright guys, today in our math class we're going to cover 1.2, identify and use algebraic field properties, add, subtract, multiply, and divide real numbers, and manipulate numerical expressions. So today, we don't go too fast to cover too much at one time, we're going to mainly just cover add and subtract this lesson, and then we'll come back to 1.2 and we'll handle multiply and divide next time. So we're going to start with just add and subtract on this one. So add and subtract of real numbers, addition of real numbers. To add two numbers with the same sign, add their absolute values and apply the common sign to the sum. So in other words, if you had something simple like with this, for number one, what it's talking about is if you had a positive 5 plus 5, right? Well, you add the sum of the two numbers, absolute value, so you get 10, and it would still be positive, right? Same thing if you had negative 3. That was a horrible negative, or horrible 3. Let me get rid of that. Let's see here. Sorry about that. Got drawn a little too fast. So let's say we got negative 3 plus negative 6. Well, if we've got that, then we're still taking, it's just at the same sign, right? They have the same sign. So we're going to add the absolute values and apply the common sign to the sum. So we got 3 and 6. That should give you 9. And since they're both negative, we're going to keep that negative. Okay? So that's what it's referring to on that. The second part here says, to add two numbers with different signs, subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger absolute value, then apply the sign of the number having the larger absolute value. So different signs. So if you had, let's see, negative 2. I don't know why that skipped like that. Well, let's get rid of that. Alright, so let's see, we had negative 2, so negative 2, and then we'll say plus, we'll do something easy, 10, okay? So negative 2 plus 10. So what it says is different signs. We have a negative value and a positive value. Subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger absolute value. So with this, we're simply saying 10 is the larger one, so we're going to subtract 2 from that. So 10 minus 2 will give us 8. And then apply the sign of the larger absolute value. So the larger value was a positive. So it's a positive 8. So it should make sense, right? You had a positive 10, but you had negative 2, so you're taking away 2 from 10, so it should give you a positive 8. Same thing, let's say you had a negative 7 plus 3. Well, you take the larger value, subtract the smaller value, so 7 minus 3 is 4, but then the sign of the larger number is negative, so negative 4. So like with this one, it's like you're missing $7, or you need $7. Your friend gives you 3. Well, how much do you still need? Well, you still need 4, so you're still 4 in the hole, right? That's one way I like to think of it. Alright. So let's do a couple here again. So on A, we have negative 2 plus a negative 6. They have the same sign, so we can just add values there. So we have 2 plus 6 is 8. and keep the same sign, so -8. That's our answer. Alright, so for B, we have a -10.3 plus 13.8. So, this one, it said we can take the bigger number, 13.8, and we're going to subtract the smaller number. So 8 minus 3 is going to be 5. And 3, 0, so 3.5. So we know this should give us, goodness, keep it a little too close now. On this, it should give us 3.5. And since the larger number is positive, we're going to leave it a positive 3.5. Now, on this, fractions. Everybody loves some fractions here. So we got 5/6 plus a -1 1/4. Well, first, let's go ahead and get this fraction set up so we can get the same common denominator. So with this one, we've got, let's get this adjusted real quick in a different color here. Alright, we'll go with this one. Okay, so we're going to say we got 5/6, and we say plus a negative, and let's see what this fraction is going to be. So if you take 4 times 1 and add 1, we should get 5/4. Which hopefully kind of makes sense, right? Because 4/4 would be a 1. It's just a 1/4. But again, so we took that. Those who didn't quite catch that, what we did is, for this, 1/4. Took this, times that, multiply. And you take that total and you add, so you add the 1 and you keep it over the same denominator. So we took 4 times 1 plus 1 over 4. Alright, so now we need to get a common denominator. So what number can both a 6 and a 4 go into? Well, thinking of it, I think 12 would be a good easy number that can go into both of them, because we should be able to get 6 going into 12, and we should be able to get a 4 going into 12 as well. And to do that, we would need to multiply this one by 2/2, because 2 times 6 is 12 and 2 times 5 is 10. And then for looking at this, 12 divided by 4 is going to be, so you got 3. Oh, I'm sorry, times 3, yeah, times 3 over 3. So we got 4 times 3, which is 12, and 5 times 3, which gives us 15. Alright, so now we have common denominators, and we can see this number is larger. So we're going to take the larger one and subtract the smaller one. So we're going to take 15 minus 10, which should give us 5. We're going to keep the common denominator at 12, and that should give us, since, also the larger number was negative, we want to keep that negative. So we should get negative 5 over 12. Sorry, I put a box around that, but that part B was 3.5. Okay, so now we're going to do the subtraction. Okay, subtraction of real numbers. If A and B are real numbers, then A minus B is equal to the same thing of A plus a negative B. So it's the same thing. We've kind of been doing it in all reality with the previous problems, but just a little different. The signs just make it look different. So with A, we have negative 13 minus 5. Well, that's the same thing as writing negative 13 plus a negative 5. Well, like in the first thing we said, if we have the same sign, add like values. So 13 plus 5 is 18. And keep the same sign. So it's negative, so it should be negative 18. For part B, let's rewrite it again as well. So we can say 2.7 plus a negative 3.8. Well, if we take a negative times a negative, right? So this is like saying a negative 1. So if we're to look at this, there is an imaginary 1 in front, or behind the negative sign, I should say, right? So a negative times a negative, well, should give us a positive. So if we do that, then we will get 2.7 plus 3.8. And now, if somebody would like to do this a little different, you can simply take this. You don't have to leave it like that. If you like making it 3.8 and 2 plus 7 and putting them like this and adding them together, that's fine. Do it. Whatever makes the math work, do it. So 7 plus 8 should give us 15. And then 3 plus 1 is 4, 5, 6. So 6.5. So we should all get 6.5. Alright guys, looks like we got one more problem here to knock out. Let's get this taken care of. So again, a lovely fraction. So again, this one could be 5 over 2. And then if we follow the same operation we have up here, dealing with A plus a negative B, we can simply remove a negative, say plus, then we can simply say negative 4 2/3. Well, let's make that complex fraction and an improper fraction. Okay, so with that, let's say 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. So we should get 14 over 3. So with this one, we should get 14 over 3. Okay. Again, it's still negative. We didn't do anything with the negative. We're just leaving the negative sign there. And we have that plus the 5 over 2. Alright, so now we get a common denominator. Well, the easy one with this, since these are numbers, we don't have a whole lot of options here. We can simply say 2 times 3, which gives us 6, right? So they can both go into 6. So with that, we'll change color again, makes it a bit easier to follow. So we'll go ahead and say we want to get a 6 on the bottom. Alright, so to get a 6 on here, we'd have to take 3 over 3, because if you multiply both numbers by 1 in all reality, it doesn't change the problem. And over here, to get a 6, we have to multiply this by 2. And I wouldn't lose you by saying multiply by 1, because if you think about this, 3 over 3 is 1. So if you multiply that by 5 over 2, and then you multiply 1, which is 2 over 2, by negative 14 over 3, it doesn't change the problem to being incorrect. It just allows the fractions to have common denominators to add or subtract them. So with this, we have 6 in the denominator, check, and 3 times 5 is 15. Then over here we got 2 times 3, which is 6, and then 2 times 14, which is going to be 28. So now we see that 28 over 6 is bigger than 15 over 6. So since we know that, we can do that rule of, we can subtract the smaller number from the bigger number. So 28 minus 15 should give you 13 over 6. And because the bigger number was negative, we know this is a negative value. And that, my friends, is the answer. Alright, so I believe I got 3 for you to practice, and then that is all we got for today. Like I said, next time we'll cover multiplication and division and go from there. Alright guys, see you next time.